You guys think I can do this video in one take? We're gonna find out, because I really don't feel like editing this weekend. What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 2 of my Mega Movie Marathon. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. It's the end of May, and you're giving us March and April? Well, yeah, I got busy and lazy. And, if you follow me on Twitter, at Luke Wiseau, you don't have to, but, I mean, it's free, so why not? I tweeted about it. I had some, technical difficulties with my original March and April, because I already recorded it, didn't like it, and stuff went wrong with it. So I figured, let me just do it again, and then I didn't for a while. So I figured, you know what? Good a time as any to do it now is the present. We're just going through with it. No cuts, no editing. Just gonna keep rolling. So with this one, I'm actually gonna do it a little differently than my first one. I want to try and cut down the runtime a little bit, make it a little shorter, because that first one was real long. And another thing, next week you're gonna be getting May's episode, and I say that because it's just gonna be May. These whole 2-month videos, like I said, they're too long. Might as well just do 1 month at a time. But with this one, making it shorter, I'm just going to read through all of them. I'll put the movies up over here, and I'll just pick a select few to talk about in a little bit afterwards. After I just read all of them off, I'll pick a couple good ones, some bad ones, some okay ones, and I'll talk about them a little bit. But like in the first video, most of these I already recommend. If I don't recommend it, I will probably say so. So you don't have to worry about that. You just gotta, stick around until I finish reading these off. So without further ado, let's just get right into what I watched in March. On the 1st, I watched Behind the Curve. On the 2nd, I watched Synecdoche, New York. On the 3rd, I watched Jiro Dreams of Sushi. On the 4th, I watched Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond, and Alien. On the 5th, I watched Au revoir les enfants and The Rachel Divide. On the 6th, I watched Abducted in Plain Sight. On the 7th, I watched The Birdcage. On the 8th, I watched Captain Marvel. And, we already know how I feel about that. So, on the 9th, I watched The Place Beyond the Pines. On the 10th, I watched Blue Ruin. On the 11th, I watched Mom and Dad. On the 12th, I watched Sophie's Choice. On the 13th, I watched Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. On the 14th, I watched Quiz Show. On the 15th, I watched The Land of Steady Habits and Kaleidoscope. On the 16th, I watched Kodachrome. On the 17th, I watched Seven Chinese Brothers. On the 18th, I watched Sorry to Bother You. The 19th was Mr. Death and Suburbicon. On the 20th, I watched The 40-Year-Old Virgin. On the 21st, I watched Colossal. On the 22nd, I watched In a World. On the 23rd, I watched Green Room. The 24th, I watched Us. The 25th, I watched Green Book. On the 26th, I watched Girlfriend's Day. On the 27th, I watched Dallas Buyers Club. On the 28th, I watched Batman Year One. On the 29th, I watched I, Tonya and Vox Lux. On the 30th, I watched Junebug. And on the 31st, I watched Empire Records. So that was a total of 37 movies. And the reason I know that without counting is because I counted beforehand. I was prepared. I'm preparing myself because I don't want to edit. So boom, 37. I'm on top of the game. So, this was a pretty good month. There wasn't too many movies that were that bad. If you noticed, the beginning of this month was pretty documentary heavy. I don't really know why. I think, I started with Behind the Curve, which I really recommend. It's on Netflix right now. It's one of the funniest documentaries ever because it's about a bunch of flat earthers. And that's just, I don't know. It's really funny to me. So, if you want a good laugh, go check it out. And then I just sort of started watching a bunch of other documentaries. Another one that I really recommend is Jiro Dreams of Sushi. I loved watching that. It's a really interesting story. It made me really hungry, even though I'm not even a huge fan of sushi. I was like, man, I really want to go get sushi now. It's a really beautiful documentary as well. Let's see. Captain Marvel was garbage in my opinion, but we already talked about that. The Place Beyond the Pines is really great, and for some reason I hadn't seen it before. It's one of these movies that I think I spoke about in my last video. It's like it's been on my list forever, but I just haven't had the time to watch it. Well, that's not true. I just haven't watched it yet. So it's one that I kind of like knocked off my list of like wanted to watch, and I loved it. It's amazing. It's still on Netflix. It has Ben Mendelsohn, and I mean that's a selling point for me. For you guys, it's got Ryan Gosling, so, and you know Bradley Cooper's in it too. But like Ben Mendelsohn, I love the guy. I also watched The Land of Steady Habits, which is another great film with Ben Mendelsohn, also on Netflix. Highly recommend checking that one out. Colossal is one that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. That one's on Hulu, actually. If you have Hulu, you can go watch it there. This was one of the most, like, original films that I think I've seen in a while. And, I mean, obviously, I've watched a lot of films, and a lot of these are really original. But this one, I hadn't really seen anything like it, especially from, you know, from America, from us, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. It was a really great story. I really liked how they told the story. Jason Sudeikis is amazing in it. I think this is one of his best performances. Anne Hathaway is his co-star. She's actually she's the lead, and he's the co-star, but, you know, whatever. And she's okay. I don't think this is her best, but I think she was also really good. And like I said, Colossal is one that I recommend if you want to watch sort of like an interesting movie. It also does have some heart, and it has some jokes, so big rec right there, I guess. Let's move on to April. On the 1st, I watched Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh, no. Okay, see, I'm not cutting. I don't care. I'm wild. Don't watch Seven Chinese Brothers. I watched it on the 17th. Not good. Didn't like it. Kind of disappointing because I like Jason Schwartzman, but, yeah, no bueno. So, April. On the 1st, I watched Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. On the 2nd, I watched American History X. On the 3rd, I watched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. On the 4th, I watched Shazam. On the 5th, I watched Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. On the 6th, I watched Snatch. The 7th, I watched Sherlock Holmes. The 8th, I watched Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. The 9th, I watched The Believer. The 10th, I watched Eagle vs. Shark. The 11th, I watched Under the Skin. The 12th, I watched A Walk to Beautiful, Gerald's Game, and Babel. On the 13th, I watched the new Hellboy, which, yikes, we already talked about that. On the 14th, I watched Hush. The 15th, I watched The Departed. On the 16th, I watched 24 Days and Dog Eat Dog. On the 17th, I watched 9. On the 18th, I watched Wind River and Jonathan. On the 19th, I watched The Raid Redemption. Wow. On the 20th, I watched Pineapple Express, 4/20, April. It's a movie about... I don't do drugs. I think it's a funny movie. On the 21st, I watched The Benchwarmers and Boy Erased. On the 22nd, I watched The Intruder. Yikes. And I also watched The Raid 2. Redeem myself. On the 23rd, I watched Welcome to Leith. On the 24th, I got to see Stuber. On the 25th, I watched Infinity War. On the 26th, I saw Endgame twice. On the 27th, I watched Iron Man. On the 28th, I watched Justice League vs. the Fatal Five. On the 29th, I watched The Crow. And the 30th, rounding out that month, I watched Son of Saul. And I didn't count how many I watched that month, so I'm going to kind of do it now in my head while I talk about movies that are good. I can't do both. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... I watched 36 movies that month. So 37 plus 36 is that number. I don't know. Maybe it's 75. If it is, good on me. Art school did me good. So a couple movies that I want to talk about. Obviously, really quickly, Shazam. We talked about it. It's great. It was a pleasant surprise, if you will. Let's see. Under the Skin is a really good, really sort of cerebral sci-fi film, and I talked about it like a while ago because I remember, I think it was in my first and only video where I did like a Blu-ray haul. I got a bunch of Blu-rays and I was like, look at these, and I kind of talked about it a little bit. So yeah, it's a really great movie. It's on Netflix now. A lot of A24 movies are on Netflix now. I don't think it's all of them, but I think there's a majority of them are on there. So if you guys know anything about me, you know I love A24. They're like my favorite production company, so I really love that. even though I have a lot of their movies. They're still like, it's cool to see them on Netflix, I guess. The Intruder. That's a story, maybe for another time, but what I will leave you with right now is it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. And we'll just leave it at that. Maybe some other time I'll tell the whole story. Who knows? I might not. Stuber, I want to talk about it a little bit because if you follow me on Twitter, again, at Luke Weisel, I'm not trying to shove it down your throat, I just forgot I mentioned it earlier. I saw this early. I got an advanced screening for it, and it was pretty good. It was charming. It was funny. It's pretty much your typical buddy cop film, except there's like a couple, little things added to it. It was a fun time, and maybe I'm a little biased because both Kumail and Dave Bautista were at my screening, so that was really cool. But it's, I'm pretty sure I've just said this like 8 times already, but it's fun. So when it comes out on June 26th, if I remember that correctly, go check it out in theaters. It's actually not bad. It's fun. Man, let's see. What else? That's about it. I just looked at The Crow. The Crow is really good. Still holds up to this day. Definitely rewatch that if you get the chance. That was episode 2 of my Mega Movie Marathon. Basically felt like a speed run. I'm surprised it's only at like 12 minutes right now. I thought I was going to go on for a lot longer. So thank you guys so much for watching this. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like. It means a lot. If you have seen any of these films, or if these videos, if you saw something in this video and then watched it, let me know what you guys thought about it. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and punch that bell so you don't miss next week's, where I'll just go through May. It'll probably be like less than 10 minutes, so less time out of your day. Who could ask for more? Who could ask for less? I ruined that. So close to this being a perfecto, but it's fine. This is actually new. I'm gonna cut this out, but I just wanted to show this off. I got this for my birthday. My mom got it for me. Let's autofocus there. Wow. Big, sexy.